CELab is proudly sponsored by Thought Industries. They've got a super robust tech platform to run your customer ed program, and they've built a think tank and community. Just look, they've released the Customer Education Playbook, a definitive book on customer ed for practitioners. They've released frameworks like maturity models, assessments, and toolkits, and they've got great community events like the Cognition Conference, roundtables, and discussion forums. But of course, there's also the tech-forward platform. Thought Industries has developed a headless solution to allow for heavy customization and has a multi-tenant architecture built to scale custom learning portals to your client base to deliver personalized learning for different roles and groups. Check out Thought Industries as you grow and evolve your program, especially if you're doing things like adding paid subscriptions, using free or freemium learning in your marketing strategy, integrating your learning data into your org's overall data strategy, or learning data to prove ROI. Check them out at thoughtindustries.com and tell them CELab sent you.
Welcome to CELab, the customer education laboratory where we explore how to build customer education programs. We experiment with new approaches, and above all, we exterminate the myths and the bad advice that you might get to stop your growth, your business's growth, your personal growth in your career dead in its tracks. So I am Dave Darrington, and this is a special episode today that we have with Thought Industries, or one of our gracious sponsors, and we're so happy to have you. Barry, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much, Dave. It's absolutely delighted to be here again. Thank you. Great to be here.
I'm glad you said again, because we've had a growing relationship. I'm really thankful to have gotten to know you over the years here, particularly if I put myself in the context of Service Rocket. We worked together, but as friends in this developing community. We want to talk and we want to learn more, extend upon, you visited back on episode 78, and we've released the customer education playbook. That was amazing. And now we want to catch up. We'd like to go reset from where you're at last. You've had cognition. Lots of stuff is really happening. The world is on fire, literally. Right? Okay. So before we do that, let's have some fun.
Okay.
Let's do the International Day of, which I always like to do. Let me share my screen real briefly. And today, the reaction, International Project Management Day, not so exciting, but hey, given your background and heritage, Barry, what do you think about a good old pint?
Well, you're asking the right man, that's for sure. So that was, I don't know, I was all in for Project Management Day, but I think I could give Stout Day a good run for it. I was actually really fortunate. About in May this year, I tend to go back to Ireland. We've got a team there. I go back to see my family, and this year I went back on a little kind of spin around the country with a friend, kind of on vacation, which I haven't done in Ireland in many, many years. So a large part of that was stepping into some nice little pubs on the West Coast and having some absolutely epic pints of stout. So I'm all over Stout Day. I think I'll have to go celebrate later on. I didn't realize. So I was kind of just going to go straight for an IPA, but looks like things.
Well, I'm an IPA guy, being from the West Coast of the United States, where in Pacific Northwest it's really great. All right, so let's frame this up. So with this episode again, what I'd like to do, we've talked to length before many times, but recently we've reconnected. We've come up with some thoughts for what we want to talk about today. I'm super excited about moving from, let's go back. Just had Cognition 23. What do you think about it? How was it? I was a participant. It was great in my perspective.
Good. Yeah, no, delighted to hear it. Fourth year, unbelievable, great turnout, amazing speakers. I think, we covered a lot of different topics and just, really great feedback. And, the participation level was great. We did it virtually again this year, which we're kind of starting to get into the swing of things on. And, likely we'll do it in person next time, but it was great. Yeah, I really appreciate everybody that came together. We had speakers from so many different companies. Our customers, participated in so many of the sessions as well. So it was great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I think it was great. And what I like, it's still in a virtual context. It's cool to be able to get online, jump online, talk to people. DJ was cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
DJ, band, they wrote a song about customer education right there and then in front of everybody. So yeah, we this is third year with Song Division. They really bring an extra little bit of flair. So I didn't do a lot of singing, but there's always next year, you know.
There is
So
always next year. Maybe you'll get me to bring my sax on stage. Let's do it
there
live.
you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. So let's bring forward the energy from cognition. Okay. Let's think about the world that we're living in right now. And Barry, when we talked recently, we I think we need to go deeper on a couple of different topics and
Yeah.
maybe a little bit further. I don't I want to get into a little bit of roadmap, but you just had cognition. This is the moment where I want to get into your head. Our audience wants to learn about you, the business, where we're going. And the two topics that popped out are AI, right? Artificial intelligence. What's that all about? I think you have some unique perspectives that help us contextualize what's going on.
Yeah.
And then this is a really big thing. Every time we talk, every time I see Thought Industries and I'm learning about the direction you're going, I want to learn from you about. Now, our audience wants to learn from you about headless
Yep.
helium. I have to say, I mean, I get it, I grok it at a high level, but what our audience really wants, you're talking to leaders, we're talking to people that are they're really in the weeds.
Yeah.
What does it mean? What's the change? So, okay, that's the frame up. Barry, can you before we get into that again, tell us what you're thinking about right now. Maybe even a little bit about you. You talked about going over back to
Yeah.
Ireland across the pond. You're, you know, who are you real briefly, and what are you trying to compress and bring into the world?
Oh, well, great. Yeah. Well, thanks for asking. I don't get asked that every day. So that's great.
Well, you're a
Usually
leader, Barry. We
straight
want
down to business, everybody.
yeah.
I
Oh, sorry, it's not
appreciate
very
that.
European. I jump into it.
Well, we're gonna have. I'm very excited about the conversation today. So I appreciate it, and I think it's going to get fun. I think we're going to push the boundaries a little bit here. I don't like to talk about myself that often, but I suppose I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Thought Industries. We celebrate our 10th year anniversary this year in September, which
Big deal.
was fantastic. We actually did it at like Cognition. My background prior to that was in technology development, working in online learning. I was really fortunate to work at Berkeley College of Music back in 2000 to build an online music school, which was my first introduction to learning technology and taking learning businesses to market. And it was God, what a job. I just absolutely loved every second of it, learned so much, and brought a lot of that passion kind of into, what we do here at Thought Industries every day. Essentially, as a company, we're a learning technology company. We focus and have focused exclusively on external learning since day one, actually since
Hmm.
before day one. We don't do a lot of or any real internal corporate training. It's all really focused on what happens when you turn learning technologies to face the outside world and what collection of capabilities and technologies are required in order to operate. And as our tagline will say, we power the business of learning. So we're in all parts of it: monetization, integration, content delivery, content creation, measurement, everything you need to operate a global learning business at scale.
Right.
So that's it. That's what we do.
It's not it, because I want to challenge
We
you
love
another
it.
thing. I want
I
to tell you
love
no.
doing it.
The reason I ask you this, Barry, but the reason maybe that we're a little bit different in how we conduct these things is
Yeah.
you're a human being and you matter, right? We all matter. You're running a company that created something, and this serves a market of learning. I wanted to go back just briefly because this is out of my curiosity. Your
Yeah.
Berkeley College of Music. This is
Yeah.
the Berkeley College of Music we're talking
Yeah.
about, right? That's online. It's a great program. This is the one that I'm seeing all the ads that are marketing it to me.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope that team they
That's
continue to
exciting.
do a really good job of targeting. Yeah, that's
Are you
it.
a musician then? Have you come
I
back?
am a musician. Yeah,
Okay.
started playing the drums when I was 8 years old. Joined my first band when I was 11, and been a basically playing music ever since. So guitars, drums,
Oh my
anything.
gosh, that's great.
Yeah. So big fan. Still goes down. The Radiohead episode is still my favorite CELab. So disappointed I didn't get
Adam, you
back.
hear that? We're gonna have to up that one.
The OK Computer record, we got to unpack it because I'm actually gone down a bit of an OK Computer hole right now. Been trying to work out what Johnny Greenwood is up to. So it's been a real
Let's get him
fun
on the
time.
show.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not.
exactly. That'd be great.
I don't want to. I don't want to. I want to get onto the topics, but the
Yeah,
reason I ask about that is because I think that spirit of music, the spirit. I'm a musician. I play sax. I'm in
yeah.
a band now too, called the Dusty Martin Band. We actually have an album out on Spotify. It's crazy. We're terrible. No, we're not terrible.
Go check it out.
We're just not huge. We did it. But I
Yeah,
think that spirit. I wanted to capture that spirit of music because and connect that to you. It's the head and
yeah,
the heart, right?
yeah,
Music is we're making products,
yeah,
and that dance of I'm working with people, I'm trying to do things. Now we're moving into AI. Now we're moving into all these things. We're we're playing. We're It's an orchestra. It's a
yeah,
band. It's a very loose thing, but I thought that was fun
yeah.
to tap on, and I like the fact that you're into music. Let's play on that. Let's play some strings on the guitar. Let's move into AI. Let's just start off with that. Can you turn the mic over to you because I want to know what your readout is. You're an executive, you're a leader in our space, you're in SaaS, you have this
Yeah.
platform. What's going on from
Oh,
your
yeah.
perspective?
Well, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? I think I might have made this statement at Cognition, but it's something I believe in. I think in our industry, and I think even the broader learning industry,
Mhm.
we're pretty much at the most exciting time ever. Things are about to change in a really, really, really big way, and we are all fortunate to be, I suppose, in the middle of that, in a lot of this positive disruption. So I can share a little bit what I think, what I think the benefits of that are, and why it's such an
Uh-huh.
exciting time to be, working in this area and being, part of the folks kind of figuring this thing out as it unfurls. But yeah, I mean, it's been, it's present in every conversation these days, isn't it? It's impossible to really have a conversation about anything we do without its consideration, and I think it's making. I will go back for a second and say, look, we've all been very aware and familiar with AI for quite a while. If you're in the tech business and you're in product development, we've been using artificial intelligence for a very long time in and out of different parts of our product, leveraging technologies that kind of bring a level of intelligence to it that and layer on top of it. But it's really been catapulted into our everyday lives recently, and I think obviously with OpenAI has sort of really transformed the way in which we have access to it, as a culture and as product developers. So it's really exciting. I think about it in a number of different ways. I think, that it's going to change the way that we learn how to use products
Mhm.
significantly. I'd like to talk a little bit more about that. It's already changing the way we create content and create learning. It's going to absolutely like supercharge personalization, and it is absolutely going to transform the way that we understand proficiency, like in a
Mm.
completely different micro level. So those are the things that are coming. We're also at a stage now where we have to tread carefully, right? There's also a level of digital citizenship that's really, really important, right? We have to have a lot of respect for what we do with this. And I think if we make, good decisions about how we use this technology, then, we can have a huge effect on learning. And I will say, like, as an individual who I would say, the classroom for me as a kid growing up in Ireland was not a fun place. I didn't really enjoy. It wasn't a format which I learned very well, and so to have scenarios where someone or something, right, is going to understand me yeah, and the way that I learn more effectively, I think and also aid the way that I learn, right? These tools that we're going to use to help me in the process of learning, I think that's an amazing thing. That's transformational.
Yes. So I really appreciate how you're threading in things like digital citizenship, and you're talking about the bigger picture,
Yeah.
because I think the call to action here for a lot of us is, okay, I'm going to self-identify as a tech nerd, geek, right? But even I, after decades worth of living in tech,
Yeah.
am overwhelmed at times. But I think if I'm poking a stick at you and saying, "What's really important? What are we really getting at here?" You're helping to exposition, externalize, to talk about the things that AI's been here. I heard you say it's been there behind the scenes,
Yeah.
right? And now it's smacking us in the face to say, "Wake up, Dave! You've got to change the way you're thinking about." I think naturally about, and I mentioned them because they're also a sponsor
Yeah.
of the show Videate, which is
Yeah.
now leveraging AI to create content at a really fast pace. I think about a platform that you may work with, Bongo,
Yeah.
and they are now able to do some things that are pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But what I'm really thinking about now is, okay, let me thread this through. You and I talked before when we were preparing about the impact, how it's impacting everything we do. An idea, natural language processing.
Yes.
What does that even mean? And why would that be something that in the moment would AI is helping us from
Yeah.
education?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, this is the one thing that's exciting. I could be controversial with what I'm going to say and do here
Good.
for a second, but let's just shoot for the stars then. Why not? I think for me, right, I think, one of the things that I see every day in, day out, right, in this quest to leverage the benefit of the educated customer, right, is I would say the division between product training
Hmm.
and customer education, right? And I feel like we're going to get to a point where product education is instantaneous and automated, right? So if you think about it, um, natural language processing allows us to do a lot of things. It allows us to have a conversation with a piece of technology. It allows us to do things like write code. All content can be written. All of these things can be created, through this technology. And if you think about it, why can't we get to a point very, very quickly? We're going to get to a point very, very quickly where UX and navigating around a product is going to change, right? You're going to tell it what to do, right? And if a product or the interface with a product can understand what you're asking it to do by processing your natural language, then a simple next step is that technology being able to configure and operate those commands, right? So it's a pretty simple step. It's going to change the way desktop software and
Hmm.
application software is operated in our mind. So I think that's where we're going to see some of this technology happen, right? If you even think about like translations and some of these technologies that can go in and they can essentially index and crawl an entire piece of software or technology, index it, parse out all of these strings, and then just translate it, right? Like think about that. Think about that context for learning, right? Imagine that every single time you add a piece of software or add a module, that it gets indexed, the knowledge base is instantaneously created, and then a derivative of that knowledge base then is a brain, a trained algorithm or an intelligence that can bring forward that information into an educational experience. And then when you bring up Videate, right, the next part is, well, we don't have to record videos, right? I mean, isn't that there? Those guys are already there. Videate and Bongo and Synthesia, these guys are already miles ahead, right?
Said, and yeah.
This isn't even me. It could be, this may not even be me. This could be my digital avatar.
Oh
So,
no.
this isn't a million miles away. We're talking, 12 to 24 months. We're going to start to see things that are going to change the way that individuals are interfacing with products. And and also I think there's a component, we'll get into some of the headless discussion later, but when we start to think learning is, browser learning is, just going to be is going to be one small part of where people are learning. There,
Yeah.
it's, this educational experience is going to happen in lots of different places, well beyond, this interface that we're chatting on right now.
Okay. I want to respond and go a little bit deeper. Yes, this is contentious and controversial too. In the spirit of human beings and the
Yeah.
fear that we have about right now, I'm channeling my inner instructional designer. Okay. I'm an
Yeah.
L&D or a customer education or a learning experience designer.
Yeah.
And the palpable sense of fear that I see in some people is, oh my God, I just saw what Video could do, for example. Or
Yeah.
let's say your engine now, I add a new module in, just like you're saying, and the
Yeah.
team of AI, I don't know what you're going to call, that's kind of cool,
Yeah.
will say, "Oh, I see there's a new module, and bing, bang, boom, it's gone out and actually pulled, like you said, that index,
Yeah.
and now it can service it automatically on the fly
Yeah.
in the stream of business.
Yeah.
So
And I'll just be clear, we're not doing that today. I'm talking about,
you're talking about future
this
context.
is
Well, I'm
visionary,
thinking about that
Barry.
too, right? What's the
Yeah, this is forward thinking, Barry here. But
Thanks
yeah,
for
like,
clarifying. We don't want your customers to go, "Oh, where is this now?" No.
it's
Yeah.
12.99. Quick sign up here while it lasts.
Yeah, so, but that's what you're saying should actually de-escalate or, decouple people's thinking a little bit
Yeah,
because the human activity let's really tap on this divide between product
yeah,
and customer education, because I think what you said is actually profound. It is that product education for me, and I'm sure people are gonna at me and express hate, please don't.
or me,
See that
please, or
see
direct it
that
to
for a
him.
comment. But you know what I mean, Barry, that,
Yeah,
the act of human creativity is best utilized to create that fundamental content. I
yes,
am mentally going through and I'm talking to you and 10 other subject matter experts and other people, and I've refined the essence of what we're communicating,
yeah,
put it into a good format. Now, OpenAI's ChatGPT picks that up, goes, "Yeah, your grammar is this, no, 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 this would be better. Boom, here you go. And I'm going to put it over here, and I'm going to put it over
yeah,
here, and I'm going to spread it out to the world. I'm going to spread, then." So what you're actually saying is that it's a lever and um, an amplification of the natural human thinking that we have.
yeah. Yeah, I think if I was to sort of think about the advantages, like for the folks that are working day to day in this industry, it's like it's kind of a superpower, right? It's a
Yes.
supercharger for what you do. It's taking all of the crud out of your day, the things that just take forever,
Yeah.
right? That we don't need to do, and it's like turn up to work every day and high five your bot and go, okay, bot, you go do product education. I'm going to go make sure our customers are going to have successful businesses using our technology, right? Which is what our jobs are, right? Our job is
Right.
for people to be successful. I know we've had plenty of customers who left us who knew how to use our product really well. Um, right. So that's a really important thing for all of us to know is that, customers are individuals that understand how to use a product intimately, still churn. So what you want is a customer that knows how to use your product to, provide successful outcomes for their business, no matter what that is. And so then we can focus right after the bot goes and does product education. We go and we do, we go do customer education, right? And we think about profoundly about how do we help these organizations focus on the things that are really important to get business value. And so it's just a framework for thinking about it. Of course, it's not going to be that simple, right? It's like there's lots of in between. There's a lot of evolution that we have to take. Curation is so critical. Like that doesn't go away, and we can talk about personalization and all these things. And like the human curation still becomes incredibly valuable. I think a lot of these things are just tools to help us focus on the things that are going to make a big difference in our daily work.
Yes, and I think you said it well when you said it's taking care of I'd put it in my term, administrative junk, the
Yeah,
the the tedium. and the things that we
Yeah.
don't want to do because we as human beings want to be creative and engaged. And the other thing I wanted to bring out, and then we should move on to the headless technology.
Yeah.
A good seg into that is that what we're talking about here is pretty profound in that we're still using our human craft. And you said something key. You're thinking about as a customer education leader or even practitioner about the business outcome.
Yeah.
That's huge. And that's different. I'm not just doing standard instructional design 101. That's being left up to the framework and the tooling of the system. Now, and why I think this is really important to this audience, Barry, is that many of us have come in, myself included,
Yeah.
from and kind of an abstract. I was in customer success at Gainsight, and I learned all these things. I'd had
Yep.
teaching experience, but when I got into this field, I didn't necessarily immediately realize I'm not just doing product training. That's
Yeah.
what the buttons do. How do they work together? Customer education is a level of order above that, and it's the workflow, how we're doing the work, what we're trying to accomplish, and how does that achieve value to me as a customer and the business as an outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it's always a good thing, maybe just as a just to remind yourself that little sticky note in your desk every day because it's important. And I'm not saying product education goes away or it's not
No,
important. I
no,
mean,
no.
I think the beautiful thing about this industry is that the job of the individual providing training and education to their customer base, that sort of continuum has been stretched, right? Unblocking, helping. It's no longer just training and coaching. It's now like our jobs are to think a lot about how do we optimize people at the moment of need, right? How do we unblock them? How do we do all these things? And we begin to spread out beyond just that very, very specific lane that we're in. And I think that's it. It's thinking about how do we have all of these things working for us? What is what's in our quiver every day as we sort of think about the types of objects that we need to either unblock the customer, make the customer ultimately successful, transform their career, all those things that are in between. And these things are just tools to help us get there, and help us focus on the things that are going to matter, and also measure them, right? Like how many days are we are we trying to figure out and dig in and try to build reports and understand what's going on? Like there's better ways to analyze this information too. So, and there will be. So that's what
That's
we're about.
yeah, this is really interesting, Barry. It's almost as if we're saying, hey, leaders in our space, you're actually way more important and significant because this is a critical thinking. You're kind of like an architect. You're we're now have to learn about things, concepts like AI. Now
Yeah.
let's talk about headless. Now let's talk about personalization.
Yeah.
Let's talk about things that really matter. So let's shift over that.
Yeah.
Tell me, Barry, headless technology is it's really big right now.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get in the way of this. I want you to talk to us about what you mean when you talk headless. What is helium? What does all this mean? This is the real lesson learned that we have for our audience today.
Yeah. Ooh. I think I've done it. It's interesting. I've stood in front of rooms and talked about headless technology, and some people are like, texting their wife and kids and just kind of like, what is
The
this?
headless
Other
horseman?
people,
What the
other
heck is
people
a pumpkin?
are heavily engaged. And it is, yeah, it's sometimes it's a pretty simple concept, but it can be difficult to understand in maybe some in the context of business. I will say this, it's not for every single organization, right? It's kind of, when and when it's one of the most powerful transformational approaches to sort of customization and technology that you can apply. So just to break it down, in a world, I will talk about where the world is headed, right? Similar, a little bit of the future, and then I'll talk about what's today. Like we've said before, like where people are learning and how people are learning, is changing. In addition to that, technology is outpacing us, pretty quickly, right? It's not even just the technology that we use at work; it's the technologies that we use at home that are getting ever more complex. And so, in order to get people to value, right, we have to really truly understand how to educate them at the different stages of that life cycle, how to educate them where they are in the context of where they are at the time they are, and that is happening every single day outside traditional browsers, right? It's happening
Yeah.
in your car. It's happening, in your smart. If you're in smart home technology, it's happening. Quite frankly, it's happening on a point of purchase system in your local coffee shop, right? These are places where, education can be delivered. And again, we talked a little bit before about the definition of education is not just what we maybe have traditionally taught it to be. It can be an immediate micro learning object or an unblocking in some specific way. So essentially what headless technology does in a very, very basic explanation is it decouples the entire front end of a product from the back end. And in order to do that, you have to create a whole, and that's what we've done with Helium. We've created this infrastructure that sits on top of that back end, right? So a development infrastructure, a support network, a technology called GraphQL that allows communication, endpoint communication over and back, product lifecycle management, so you can deploy and manage technology. But ultimately, there's a continuum of what you can do with that technology. Number one, you can edit very, very simple things on the front end. So with our product, you can just take it out of the box, configure it. You don't ever need to use Helium, ever. In fact, you can accomplish a lot without Helium. You can actually do lots of customization and configuration without Helium. However, organizations with the headless technology can make changes to the interface, right? So they can be simple as just an object change. I don't like that button. I don't like that object, that widget. I want to move it somewhere else. I want to change it. They can also wipe out the entire page and build a completely unique page or experience in the product. That product can also harness external data. So an actual example of that would be like in a learner dashboard where you're pulling in product information in real time, or you're making calls to other technologies to centralize information in that individual so that you can customize it. And or last end of the continuum, you can wipe the entire front end of the code away, throw it in the trash, and build total new technologies on top of that infrastructure. So, so from customization to we're going to build an entire new learning product on top of this framework, essentially. And that's the sort of the continuum of headless. E-commerce world, and I would say, e-commerce content management. So have gone through, pretty significant, changes in that area. I think you'd be aware of companies like Contentful, that are doing that have, these headless CMSs, which allow you to do a lot. So for our business, we ended up here because we have there's a sort of continuum of individuals in the market that have development resources that want highly customized experiences, that want to totally curate look and feel. They want to pull data externally. They want to control the learning experience explicitly, whether they're putting it into their software product, whether they're creating externally. And then the last point is just the future, right? Think about all of these learning experiences being built for proprietary technologies inside the cab of a Caterpillar excavator, on that screen, on the point of purchase at Dunkin' Donuts. How are we building learning experiences on these devices, on your home theater system, all these places that can be connected back to the engine, the brain, that allows you to manage and scale that learning? So I said a lot, but it is a little bit, that's just a sort of an overview of what headless is, how it can be used, and how we're seeing it being used at the moment.
Okay, I think that's really good. Let me ask you a couple questions about it, though.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me make sure I've got it clear in my mind. I think this is a whole lot better. I think I have a whole lot better handle on it now. So basically, I could visualize a conventional learning management platform that we've
Yeah.
seen over the last decade or two.
Yeah.
And we know you have an interface, you log in, you do things, you see, you have all the stuff. We know this, we understand this. But now I think what we're seeing is that's all there. It's all there. That's
Yeah.
the traditional customer education or learning experience that we've had. But now I and I've seen this a lot. I think the holy grail for many of us, and the thing that many of us are asking for, my leaders are asking for,
Yeah.
right? Why do I have to go to this other place? Why do I have to
Yeah.
go
Oh,
to
yeah.
learn? And, I remember having conversations with people like Nick at Gainside or Manny at Outreach, and we want to have this. We want it to be there. We want the customer to be there in our platform. We
Yeah.
want to be in Gainside or Outreach or Zuko or whatever it is. We don't want them to leave because this is that. Well, when somebody leaves the learning experience or the workflow, and this
Yes.
is again the big thing. You and I know you just set this all up. You said all these applications, all these things, all this stuff I learned. It's complicated. Our lives are complicated. We're B2B people, B2C. We're using software all the time. But now when I need something, I want that in the moment of time that I need it.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
well, I might churn the moment. I might churn you forever.
Right.
Oh, I'm just
Absolutely.
so frustrated. I can't figure it out. Oh, I have to go here. I click, click, click. You don't know my password. Okay. You're absolutely inherently frustrated in that. Now, let me flip this a little bit, Barry. This is the only concern that this is not a concern. I
Yeah.
think this is something that I think we need to talk about above board.
Yeah.
What you're talking about in this space is a little more sophisticated than me going, okay, I'm by Thought Industries. I'm going to sit on the shelf. I'm going to build content. I've got the academy. No, I need a developer to help me. Many of them, or this is now part of my entire production.
Yeah.
We're saying, okay, over here, we need a little video to pop up. I don't want to take words
Yeah.
out of your mouth, but
Yeah.
how would that journey, how would I, as maybe that interface to my development team, have an example of embedding learning in the moment?
Yeah. It's a good
Well, off
question. I
script
think,
here, but I'm just like responding to the thing
yeah.
you just said. It's really
Yeah,
interesting.
no, I think there's a couple of different answers there, right? A couple of different points. I think number one, like, learning in the moment of need, in and in itself, I think is absolutely, it's critical, right? And again, we talked earlier about the broadening continuum of learning. So, like, are we just presenting learning, or are we presenting a knowledge base? Are we presenting a video? What are we presenting? When are we presenting it? Are we presenting information about reporting when you're in the reporting section, or are we telling you about some other feature from the great beyond in there? So when we think about that, we think a little bit about, and we're doing this already. Actually, if you look in, we have this in our own product. We've built on Helium an embedded learning experience in our software. But think about it; those things can now reach into all of the other databases. Can reach into your knowledge base. It can reach into learning. It can reach into any other sort of content source that you want to present to that individual. And you can also think about targeting where they are, so that can happen. That's going to happen. It's going to happen real fast. It's already happening. And I think, can headless technology help that? Absolutely. If you want to create a sort of a very bespoke experience for that, you absolutely can. I think the second question, just about like Helium in general or headless technology, as I said, it's not for every organization. Probably
Mhm.
90% of our customers in the market will say, hey, the power of your technology is great. I can configure it, little CSS here, upload that, launch that module, integrate with this, integrate with that. We're all good. We're configured. We can run a global learning business, monetizing in different languages with tax, and do whatever we want. We can manage all of our events, all of our everything, right?
Yeah.
Done. Never even downloaded Helium, don't care about it. Then there's a continuum of the market that are saying, yeah, we have developers, and we have, very, very specific goals about how we want the learning experience that we want to deliver, and we want it fully integrated into different parts of our technology. How can we do that, and how can we take ultimate control of that experience? If you think about Salesforce as an example, right? Like, how many organizations have Salesforce developers now?
Oh my
Like,
God.
that's
Yes.
the same concept, right? This is Salesforce did this. This isn't new, right? Like, all these apps, all these things that you can embed into Salesforce, all the customization that you can create. Now, I can be an analyst and spin it up and do a pipeline report, but I can also get a developer to come in and do something, custom for our business. And so it's not a million miles away to think about that, right? That organizations have. And we have a cohort of our customers who have developers on staff who are keeping integrations working, who are writing React
Yeah.
widgets, who are building other types of integrations. And so what we bring to the table with headless is the infrastructure, the security, the hosting, the scale, so that you don't have to support an independent app on just on your own servers, on your own apps. And we're constantly releasing technology, code, features, capabilities that you can plug into to power those experiences. And so that's the multiplier that headless provides.
I was just thinking about this. Then the spark never caught for me. Adam and I had done some episodes where we went back through history and read the books and learned the things, what we were doing 40 years ago, 50 years ago
Yeah.
in education. And it harkens back to the experience that, well, initially learning developers were coders. They
Yeah.
were doing some pretty
Oh,
sophisticated stuff. So when we act surprised, like, oh, I have to have a developer on staff in my education program, that's not new.
that's 20 years ago. I mean, less. I mean, I remember hiring instructional designers at Berkeley College of Music, and they had to understand Flash, HTML, Java, and understand instructional design, right? So, I mean, yeah, we don't have to go back that far. No, you're right.
Well, this really helps out. I hope it helps our audience, but it helps me reconnect because we've seen things like XAPI,
Yeah,
Squirm's a little bit like that. But I think what you're offering again to the world is this perspective and vision that, look, the platform we have is great, but now there's an extensibility that provides us more flexibility. We don't not succumb to the same kind of limitations that I know I've had. Well, I want to make it look like this one. You just said all that.
yeah,
Um, and I think I have one other question. I want to answer one question before I get to that. That one question I have is, well, who is this for? We need to have that topology that we need to have people that have the development chops. But
yeah,
it also means that we have to have a broader perspective of our educational topology and plan. The other question in that is, oh yeah, what do you see a moment of inflection as let's go back to our crossing the chasm kind of thing,
yeah,
right? What would be the most appropriate point in time that I should consider a headless approach? Not
yeah,
necessarily meaning a have to,
yeah.
but is there like a ARR level that you'd see a B2B SaaS company as a trigger? What is there?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think if I was to kind of break it down, I think there's a couple of different things, right? I think number one, if you experience matters, right? If you are absolutely, I want to curate the entire pathway so specifically, and I have very, very strong thoughts about what that is. Or learning has to happen exclusively inside our software technology, or on a different device. An experience matters to you, then, and you are continuously battling that, right? You're not being able to execute that through CSS or JavaScript or any of these, manipulations to a standard technology. That's a time to think about it. I think, when you start to encounter customization needs, how
Mm,
heavily how many tickets do you have into your LMS about customization, right? What are the things? I love this assessment tool, but I really needed to do these 4 or 5 different things that are so explicit to our market. And I don't see it in the market, and I don't see it anywhere else. I need that, or I need to integrate another technology. That would be a thing. I think if you have technical debt, so not
mm,
we talk to organizations who have Moodle or who've built like 4 or 5, built this little training management thing over here. We built this integration with Zoom and thing, with this reporting database here. We got these files over here, and you've got a team of people that are trying to keep all these things running. And the guy that built and the girl that built this left 8 years ago. You need a framework. You need to centralize on a framework, and that's happening in a lot of places, right? The needs of some of these businesses are so specific and so customized to launching and growing, that they've had to build some of them themselves. So I think that buy or build, that tech debt thing, is really important. I think operate with that comes the operational cost, like scaling pressure,
yeah.
like hosting, like security hosting, GDPR, like all of the stuff that you need to, if you're supporting technology around learning that requires you to be on top of this stuff, you can offload that, right? And I think that's a place. And I think, as I said, the e-commerce market went through this a lot. Everyone's like, cool, I like this thing, the way it sells sneakers, this landing page, but like, our sneakers are different and we needed to look different and perform differently. And this is the market we sell to. That's what happened e-commerce, right? People just started to say, like, the out of the box commerce technology is not cutting it. It's the difference between $100,000 and $700,000 for us to have very, very specific changes in the way that they experience it. So it's meaningful, not for everybody meaningful, but the power. I mean, the beauty for us is that we also are able to step out of the middle of that sort of our customers' destiny and then our technology, right? They're able to step in. And I think some of the most incredible new technological advancements and features and learning experiences that are going to be built by our customers and our future customers, on this framework. So that's what's really exciting about it.
That is really exciting, and that's what I would hope you would bring out. Now I'm understanding a lot better, Barry, and I appreciate it because there's a moment in time, there's a time and a place, but there are. It's kind of like that. Okay, now I need to scale efficiency. Now I need to focus on customization, personalization. All of these kind of things are actually prevailing or wins against us as we get to a certain point of ARR and growth, where we're fighting our systems.
Yeah.
Our LMS is now not giving us what we need. Now we have to be more extensible. Okay. That's fascinating. And I think we have a couple other threads. We're getting near the end game here. We've talked about a lot of this. We've talked about this. This is kind of a more developer thing. Now we're pushing into new areas. Let's go another direction with this. One of the things that's happening right now we're kind of getting off of tech, headless. I also want to ask you a little bit about community.
Yeah.
The thing about community that's going on right now is that we're doing actually a launch of our new community. By the time this goes live, you'll see it. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Community is becoming more profoundly important for us. And the reason I'm mentioning this, and we talked about it before, is because, okay, yes, we have headless technology, we have AI. Where are the people?
Yeah.
Where are the people? And what's important about spreading that word and getting people engaged at different points in their time? So do you all have a community right now? Or are you offering that to your, I mean, I don't think you build it, or I don't know if it's part of your platform, but you're featuring a community as well.
Yeah. So a couple of answers to that. I mean, I think we have for a very long time, I've had a whole community component to it's a configuration as part of the learning objects in our native authoring. So you can build, a sort of threaded discussions and community around course. We have the ability to create communities broadly across our technology so people can create threaded conversations across the entire learning entity that they have. We also have a community for our customers that we run, and so we have our own internal community where they can come together. We have a customer advisory board. We have all bunch of information. They're voting up and down features and all that kind of stuff. So, we've certainly embraced community from that perspective. I think. I think one of the most profound things I learned about peer-based communication and community was back when I worked at Berkeley, and they had this really cool, and I attribute this to a woman called Debbie Cavalier who runs Berkeley Online now, and it was part of the construction of we had these 20-person cohorts that would run, and every week you had to do an assignment at the end of the week, which is loads of fun because you get to play stuff and do cool stuff. Was a cohort of 20 limited, and it was a requirement to comment on everybody else's homework and assignment. I learned, I took courses. I also looked at the attrition rates of these courses, and I would see people drop off after like a certain period of time. What I realized after taking a bunch of courses and analyzing the data and doing follow-up calls with people is that I was learning in the first 3 or 4 weeks of those courses so much from all the other people. Like, I mean, the instructors were, and the content was kind of teaching me the principles, but it was the collaborators and the people around me that were just igniting my creativity. And that there to me was the best lesson in community and peer-based interaction, right there. And I think I still believe that. I think as we look at this in this market, and as the process of learning, there's the multiplier of the other individuals that are on the same journey as you, or have made mistakes before you, or willing to help, or willing to provide feedback, shortcuts, camaraderie, also a sense of community and purpose together is, to me, is just, it is like I said before, it's a multiplier. So yeah, I went on there for a bit, but I believe in it in so many different ways, and it's been so important to me, in many parts of my career and my personal pursuits as well.
Well, the reason I wanted to ask you that in particular is it's become really important to alongside of, we're talking about all this technology and stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get your perspective out there, and it's spot on. We learn more when we're together. It's a big force multiplier for education, because now it's oh no, hey Barry, I did it this way. Can you try this? Oh yeah, that worked even better than what the teacher said. It's that chatter, and it's the backroom chatter that we have in the classroom where the teacher's like, Dave, what are you doing over there? I'm gonna throw a eraser at you. Stop. I've gotten hit by them in music class.
I've been hit by a few of those in my life.
Oh, yeah, music teachers are the worst. But cool. No, that really helps, because community is really important. And in education, we're starting to see a lot more leaders bring community into the fold.
Yeah,
absolutely. For the reasons that you're talking about. Okay, we are getting near the top of the hour here, and what I'd like to do is just kind of open some space up for you, Barry. We've had other things that we were talking about. What else would you like to share with the world? It could be brand, it could be you. What ideas you got? Anything else you want to share with the audience before we start to walk out the door?
Absolutely, yeah. Inside my brain is like, don't talk about stout. Don't talk about stout. Be more profound. But it's International Stout Day, so I mean, hey, no, I think a couple of things. First of all, I appreciate you very much for having me today. When I think about community and I think about leadership in this industry, and people that have served this whole industry so well, I think you and Adam have just done such an amazing job. I'm grateful for you guys. I learn all the time. I remember discovering that very first podcast. So I think on behalf of me, as someone that has been fortunate enough to lead a company in this area, and on behalf of me and our company and all the people I know, I want to just thank you guys so much for what you do. The quality of the content, the conversations, the way that you turn up all the time is it's a gift to all of us. So I don't know, taking that opportunity, I'm not going to say anything else other than that, because I think you guys deserve it. And, we appreciate you very much, and keep it on, keep going. And I want to be on the next Radiohead, podcast. So putting that on the record.
Well, Barry, yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. And what I'd like to do is use that as an opportunity also to say, this show and the community that's emerging, none of this would happen unless we had a community of people. We had a vast network of friends and exceptional leaders and people that we care about that show up too, and they're part of that. So know that that's why we're bringing you on. That's why we're bringing people on. We are a community. Yeah. And we've got a lot to do. I cannot wait until we launch. And then Barry, you're invited in. We're all learning from each other. And someone might ask, why, Barry, would you be in the customer education community? Because I want to learn too. I'm one of you. I promise I'm not going to try to sell you stuff. Well, but I'll do that over here, not in the community. That's significant.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Barry, once again, thank you so much. Thank you for your support ongoing. Thought Industries is a great brand that we work with all the time. We're here for you. You're here for us. This is great. Audience, I hope you enjoyed this. This is for you. We're trying to learn more from the best people in the market and the leaders and everybody that's out there and bring it together. This is a field that we love. If you want to learn more, we always have a podcast website. That's at customer.education. Can't even get any clearer than that. There you can find show notes, material, all the things. Now, very soon, we will also have a community, and it's not our community, it's your community. It's not a CELab sponsored thing. So go get into it, get active, get busy. Now, if you found value in this podcast, hey, share it with your friends, your peers, over beers, and help us find the others. Once again, thanks to Alan Coda for providing our amazing theme music. And we know that many of you are subscribed out there on many platforms. What keeps us going, what keeps us happy is comments and 5-star ratings. Help us get out there. And thanks for joining us. Go out, educate, experiment, try headless, right? And find your people. Cheers, everybody.